Hi, welcome to You Time. The purpose of You Time is to help you prioritize yourself by taking a few minutes each day so that you can be the best version of yourself for the other people in your life.
On this episode of You Time, I'm going to be interviewing Amanda Hemm, who is a doula, and we are going to talk about what a doula is and a little bit of background information and how you can find a doula, and also how Amanda finds time to care for herself as a mother and an entrepreneur. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Synne. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for agreeing to participate. So Amanda and I were colleagues at a former company, and she was actually my manager, and she left to pursue her dream of becoming a doula. And I really appreciate her taking time away from her business and her family to spend some time talking to us on You Time today.
Well, thank you. So just a little bit about me and where I've come from. As you said, and as you know, we worked together for many years, and I only managed you for a small amount of the time that we worked together. In all fairness, I think I learned as much from you as you did from me. It was a good joint relationship. But and while I was at that company, I had my two kiddos, and they're now older. They're 10 and 8. But I really was feeling like I wanted to switch into a career where I was able to help women, especially after childbirth, when life is just hard. And you're just going through those transitions, and they're messy and they're raw, and you don't really know what's going on, and it's hard to find support. And so I actually thought that I dreamed up this career all by myself until I Googled it and went, oh, there is somebody that does that. It's a postpartum doula. But there's a couple of different kinds of doulas. There's a birth doula, which I think more people are familiar with, which support a family or a couple through the birth of a child. And they do some prenatal support, and then they're there through the entire birth process. I don't have that much flexibility in my ability to be on call. And if I was really being totally honest, I don't do well in hospitals. So I knew that wasn't right for me, and I took the avenue of being a postpartum doula. What I do as a postpartum doula is I come in after the baby has been born and the family's at home, and just essentially I care for the mom so that the mom can then care for her child. And what that looks like is totally different from family to family for some, and for phase to phase and day to day, right? It changes. You're a mom, you know how things change pretty rapidly in those first few weeks and months. So some days I provide way more physical support. Let me hold the baby while you go take a shower. Let me do some meal prep. I can wash those pump parts and bottles and get you all set up for the night. Some of it's more education, where we talk about baby care, and so many people have never held a baby or changed a baby, much less trimmed fingernails and given a bath. And so we talk a lot about that sort of thing. But more than anything, what I do is a lot of emotional support. And that may not even be why I was being called on initially, but that's what I end up doing. And we talk about everything from processing the birth to feelings about visitors and mothers-in-laws and strained relationships or strengthened relationships with their partners. A lot of what I do is reminding people that they're strong, they're capable, and help them find their confidence in this new role as mom.
That's great. And, I think probably most people, I don't want to say most people, I think that there's sort of a confusion about the difference between a midwife and a doula, but I think you did a really great job of talking about the role of a doula. Now, I know you have your own business. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I've got a couple of different things going on. So I started my doula business. It's called Baby Steps Postpartum Care. And it's just me. I hung out my own shingle and created my website, and I just care for moms individually. I work with a family in their home. I'm not affiliated with a hospital or a doctor's office or anything along those lines. I'm very much of a support person and not a medical. I don't have the medical background at all to be doing this. But what I found quickly as I was getting started with my business is that even though I was doing this on my own, I needed that tribe. I needed a village that could support me in my venture. And I started an organization called Nama Families. Nama Families is it's essentially a networking organization for perinatal professionals in my immediate area. I'm based in Maynard, Concord area, but we branch out towards Cambridge and Worcester, which happens to be sort of my work area as well. But Nama Families is full of midwives and lactation consultants, acupuncturists, mental health clinicians, baby photographers, you name it, anybody that works with a family through pregnancy and the year beyond. And what this has done is it's really created a strong foundation for me to have other people who I can talk to about what's going on in my business and get some advice and feedback. There's been some professional development. It has become an amazing referral source of business for me. But more importantly, when I was creating it, I now know the providers that I'm going to refer my families to. So if I have a mom I'm working with who's having, who I suspect is having postpartum depression or anxiety or OCD, I can say, here are the 4 providers in our immediate area that I know. I know which ones take insurance, which ones your personality might match well with, and I can make a phone call and an introduction. And that level of support for the families I work with and for me has been invaluable. What else? What else can I tell you?
You can tell me about the new partnership that you are working on, if you're comfortable sharing that at this point.
Sure. So the company that Synne and I used to work at had this old story that the owner, the founder, always talked about of how he was a clinician and he helped people one-on-one. And then it moved to VHS and then to CDs and then to online. And it was just this beautiful story of taking that help and that service that he was providing from one person to thousands of people. And that story has resonated with me all these years of how can I expand what I'm doing so it's beyond one person. So as the postpartum doula, I love that at the end of the day, I can say, I really helped this person with X, Y, and Z. They're feeling more confident, they're feeling empowered. But I know that when I'm done working with them, that's not the end of their journey. They're continuing on. They're going into the workplace oftentimes and having this another major transition from being a new mom to being a new working mom, which is a lot of layers. And so I started Soutiens, which means to support in French, roughly translated and with a few liberties taken, but it also means bra, incidentally, which goes along with a lot of what I do too.
Very interesting.
But so Soutiens, I am providing education and support for working parents in the workplace. So I talk to expectant parents and we talk a lot about how to prepare for parental leave, what they can do to make sure that when they're on leave, they're creating a very strong foundation so that when they go back to work, they are ready to re-engage and move forward feeling empowered. And by doing this through workplaces, I'm getting back to what our old friend Simon said, of instead of reaching just one person, we can reach many people and hopefully start to rise the tide and change the cultures.
That's great. And I think, I think I learned a lot from that model too, which is how I started podcasting, right? I felt like there was a audience to serve and there were ways to do it one-on-one, but I like the idea of being able to speak to people. And I'll be honest, I think most of my listeners are women. I think, women, personally, I think that women are more in need of practicing self-care than men are, but maybe I'm biased. But yeah, I definitely support that mission, and that sounds like a great opportunity. And I can't wait to hear more from you about it when it becomes more developed.
Yeah. Oh, I hope to be back and share more at that time. But I think you're absolutely right that women need to pay attention to self-care. And I see that all the time with the new moms that I work with. They get so overwhelmed with all of the new information that they're learning, the exhaustion, the physical recovery, that they forget to take care of themselves. So a lot of what I do is coming in and talking about finding ways that they can take care of themselves, or that I can take care of them until they're able to take care of themselves a little bit more effectively. And it starts with the basics of, when was the last time you ate? Are you getting enough water in your body? Have you been outside of the house today? And starting at that basic self-care level.
So Amanda, I'm guessing that probably some of the listeners may be expectant moms, or have a friend who is an expectant mom and would be interested in referring them to a doula. How does someone find a reputable doula?
You call me and I'll hook you up.
I like that idea.
That's my first one. But finding a reputable doula. There is a website that's called doulamatch.net, and it's a kind of a search engine for doulas. You put in your location and what some of your criteria are, and it pops up a directory of doulas. That has been fabulous. There's a couple of certifying agencies, Doula and Kappa being two of the largest ones, and they have listings by zip code or state or location or something, so that you can find the doulas near you. But a lot of it's really about talking to people and getting out there. And so first, recognizing that there are such doulas and other people who can support you during the postpartum period. And maybe you're looking for a doula, but you happen to know that your neighbor down the street is a lactation consultant. Ask them. The word of mouth and the referral is really strong. Or go on the Facebook mom groups and say, hey, who's used a doula? Do you have any recommendations? People are going to be quick to share the people that they love to work with. But it really is a personal fit. So as much as I say that I feel like I could go in and help any family, I've got the skills to do so. The families that I feel like I benefit most from are the ones that I have a connection with. They have a connection with me. It's such a vulnerable, raw time of life that you want somebody that you feel good about having in your home and that you feel safe with.
That is very important. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I think probably word of mouth and personal referral is probably really vital, as part of your business and for your clientele as well.
It definitely is. It's there's a lot of strong opinions when it comes to parenting and motherhood, and everybody is happy to share advice, whether you ask for it or not. So if you are having any questions, find a community that you're part of and just throw it out there. But the big piece of advice that I give to everybody is not all advice is going to fit. So take what works for you and then filter out what doesn't. There's no one size fits all.
So Amanda, this will be my last question, and then feel free to make any plugs or add any additional information that you feel would be helpful. So, you are an entrepreneur and you have a husband and you have 2 children. What do you do to care for yourself?
I talk about it a lot better than I do it, to be honest. And I think that that's probably true for many people. So I'm going to share what I tell people to do and then I try to do. So especially within my courses for SUTNs, we talk about self-care a lot. And the self-care kind of rhetoric that I use is that there's daily self-care and there's periodic self-care, and it's important to recognize the difference. And the daily self-care are the really seemingly small things that you need to do every day just to get through the day. So it might be having a cup of coffee and taking 5 minutes in the morning to write down your to-do list just so you can get your head going in one direction. It might be taking a walk around the block. It might be having lunch without your phone attached to you and just remembering to pay attention to what you're eating and just take a few minutes here and there to appreciate life, to take some deep breaths. So I think that the first thing that I tell people, and I do practice this more, is to find those little moments of self-care and appreciate them and value them and not think that self-care needs to be one more thing on your to-do list. But to first recognize and then to practice. And then the periodic self-care is more of those bigger things that you do. It's the girls' night out. It's going to yoga class. It's getting a massage. It's getting a manicure, a pedicure. It's the things that people think about when they're watching TV and they're getting marketed to, that you need to do this to take care of yourself. And if you're not doing that, then you're not doing a good job. And I do feel like you do need to do some of that self-care periodically. I did go to a yoga class this morning and it felt amazing. I'm going to go on a hike with a friend later today if the snow stops. And that's the kind of stuff that I make the time for. That's just doing something for me, even if it's not lavish. But I'm as guilty as the next person of when life gets busy, I don't call that friend to go for a walk. I don't stop and go to the yoga class because I'm doing something else. And then I find myself playing a stupid game on my phone instead of taking a few minutes to have some deep breaths and some mindfulness around that. So I guess in kind of a long way around, those are the things. I try to look for the small moments. I try to value playing a hand of cards with my son after dinner, and seeing that those things are really feeding my soul, and then periodically trying to do some of the larger self-care things. But without those small day-to-day ones, I wouldn't even be able to keep my sanity to get to the larger periodic ones.
And I appreciate you saying that so much. I think I've talked a little bit in my previous episodes about some of the bigger things, but I think in my messaging isn't, take a trip by yourself, which I was actually fortunate to do, or, do a spa day, which is regenerative and restorative every once in a while, but it really is about taking that pause just for you to prioritize your day, make sure, you're healthy, because, we wear many hats, and I feel like if you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to make that time to minimally make sure your basic needs are met so that you can put your best self forward and take care of those people that you serve.
Well, and I find too that, I dream about taking a vacation by myself or getting away for a few days. But I know when I come back, all the stuff is still going to be here. So if I can't figure out those small things to minimize the day-to-day stress, that even large, grander gestures of taking care of myself, it's going to be very temporary. It's kind of like you just have to do that daily maintenance. You can do a full body cleanse, but if you're still eating like crap in between, it's not going to do you any good. You need to adjust and change the way that you're doing things. And so that's how I view those small daily self-cares.
Well, that is great. Is there anything else you want to add about your business or how people, can contact you, or just a final word?
I do. I've got two things actually. Before I plug myself, which I would be happy to, so hold on to that thought. The other piece of self-care that I just wanted to mention was so often with the new moms, I focus on it with new moms because that's where I'm working, but I see it a lot in my own life too, is that we need to support the people near us to make sure that they're getting self-care too, and recognizing that their self-care might be different than ours. So for example, my husband needs to go to the gym almost every day. And when he does, he's a much happier person. His stress is lower, and then that makes the whole family's stress lower because he's coming back able to fully participate in all family matters. But at the same time, it's really easy for me to be like, why are you complaining about a long day? You just took an hour and a half at the gym. Like, don't you see that you got that and I didn't get that? Or a lot of new moms, when they're at home and their husbands take a few minutes to do some self-care, they sometimes feel like that time was taken away from them. So I just want to remind people that it's really important to recognize other people's self-care, make sure that they're getting that so that their cup is full and they can help support you as well. So that's my one plug there. So more about myself, you can reach me at, I'm all over social medias, Facebook and Instagram. I haven't figured out Twitter just yet. That's on a list.
I can give you a Twitter tutorial.
That would be awesome. But my doula work is at babystepspostpartum.com. And my Soutien's work is soutiens.us, and that's SOUTIENS.US.
Thank you for spelling that.
No problem.
I think you saved a lot of people a lot of time. It's been a while since French class, I think, for many of us.
It has, and it's been a lot. I need to do a lot of work on my SEO, so we are not great at being found on Google yet. I will get there. But soutiens.us.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. My personal goal or affirmation or intention for the day was to bring the joy, and I definitely feel like reconnecting with you has brought some joy today, and I think people will really appreciate this. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to participate in this interview with me, and I hope you get some referrals out of this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and best of luck going forward. This is such an important topic. I'm glad you're bringing it to light.
And I hope that you get to go on your hike today. I think the snow is supposed to stop around noon, so fingers crossed.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to Julie, who said she was going to get a mani-pedi after listening to my podcast, and a shout out to Kristen, who said she was booking a massage. So thank you, and I'm glad you're finding some time for self-care. Also, you can follow me at Synne on Twitter. I'm back on Facebook as Synne reluctantly, and I am on Instagram at Synne.